Okay, our slideshow. Now, if you'll recall from way back when, if I go back to the high resolution layout for just a moment, the slideshow was created with a clipping group. I'm sure you remember all of that. So the photograph that we have here inside our slideshow object is actually being clipped to the dimensions of that slideshow object. So we're going to have to essentially rebuild that for ourselves here. Okay, so a couple of things that I want to make sure of, first of all, before we move ahead. Back to the medium resolution layout for just a moment, if you would. Make sure that your slideshow layer inside the layers panel is selected. Okay, because we're going to move the photograph over into the medium resolution file in just a second. And we want to make sure that the new layer, the photograph, gets dropped on top of the slideshow object. So just make sure you have your slideshow layer, your slideshow object selected there. And then I'm going to head back to the high resolution layout. I'm going to collapse or close the navigation menu layer group, and I'll twist open the slideshow layer group. Now, what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to grab the slideshow and drag and drop it. That's the wireframe object, don't forget. What I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the photo itself. Okay, so grab the photo layer there. You may have renamed yours as I did. And what I'm going to do is drag and drop him into the medium resolution layout, something like this. Okay. Now, once again, when you do the initial drag and drop, it's going to be somewhat messy. Okay, so we're going to have to do a little bit of fiddling here, and give me a moment to fiddle with my screen so we can see exactly what's going on here. There we go. So this photo is huge inside my medium resolution layout. So let's try and fix this up a little bit. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to create the clipping group, and then what we'll do, if necessary, is we'll resize the photo, scale the photo a little bit using free transform. Okay, so back to my layers panel inside my medium resolution file. There's the photo, there's the slideshow layer. That came in perfectly. I'm going to hold down Alt or Option, and I'll click between the two layers, of course, to create the clipping group for myself. There we are, something like this. And then what I'll do is I'll make sure that the photo layer is still selected inside the layers panel, and I'll use my free transform, Control or Command T, of course. There we go. And I'm going to do some scaling and some repositioning, and hopefully I'll be able to get this guy looking somewhat decent, although it could be a little bit tricky to get all this sort of positioned and looking half decent. Maybe something like that is okay for our purposes here. Something like that I think is fine. I'll go ahead and hit Enter on my keyboard. There you go. That's all there is to it. Again, we've already built the slideshow, so we're just reusing content from the previous layout, the previous design. I'm going to grab both of my layers related to the slideshow, of course, inside the layers panel, Control or Command G on my keyboard, and we'll group these guys together, and we'll call that group slideshow.